Peace and blessings. Welcome back to the Mr. 1000 Reps channel.
Mr. 1000 Reps.
Today is a very special day. We're welcoming our first guest to the channel, and on this episode we're going to concentrate on talking about some natural foods. So before we get into the natural foods and all the things we want to talk about, I want to take a moment and introduce a certified nutritionist, a former collegiate athlete, a masseuse, a trainer, a chef, an artist, my friend, and purveyor of holistic foods and medicines, Miss Madinah from Yathrib Holistics.
Peace and love. Thanks for having me.
Welcome to the channel. Thank you for being here. So to start off, can you tell us a little bit about Yathrib Holistics and what you do?
Yeah, Yathrib Holistics, it originated right out of college. I started out making customized sea moss and selling that. Then I started learning about the herbs, started making different herbal compounds, capsules, teas, body butters, salves. Then I started getting more into a Thai massage, went to Thailand, learned that, came back, got my nutritionist certification, and just started really trying to cook more plant-based foods because, you know, when you first start going vegan, it's a lot of like fake meats and most people don't know how to cook it like that. So just really trying to get creative with the foods that are more full of life.
All right. Well, a lot of people have this whole dissertation about what's healthier, right? What type of diet is, I would say, the most premium or optimal way to eat and feed the body. So just recently I was talking to my man Bo, and he was bringing up the point about how the body functions. He talked about the stomach, the heart, and the brain. But we also talked about what to put in your body in relationship to those three things and how your genetics work and what you need, right? So could you tell us a little bit about the difference between some of the cuisine and some of the foods that are or are not available, like overseas, like you're saying, Thailand, versus here in the continental United States?
I feel like when I was in Thailand, it was more starches and fruits, and they had some of the best fruit for cheap. You could get pounds of it, but a lot of times I was having like rice or some type of pasta with vegetables if I'm like wanting to eat. But it's something about the oils and the chemicals that's not as harsh because like as soon as I came back to America, I ate something and my stomach was like hurting, and I was out there for like a month. So it just felt a lot cleaner, like the quality of the food.
Well, one thing that I wanted to also touch on that you said a little earlier is when, as a chef, when you're cooking and you're talking about processed foods, can you kind of elaborate on some of the things that you would consider to be unhealthy or, you know, part of that process, you know, like what additives and things of that nature?
Anything as far as like even you slicing this is considered processed, or blending. Process is just like taking it away from its true natural form. Like you're gonna just eat it right from there, just eat it. Like, but when it comes to like more chemical based processed foods, you know, like chips, really everything, honestly, the meats, they're being processed now, injected. Even the vegetables are being sprayed with genocides, and you know, it's getting real spooky out here. We gotta start, you know, growing our own food, or like having access to local farmers that's growing fresh organic foods, which if you're in Arizona, you could go to Spaces of Opportunity. They have a really big plot. Sometimes you can get on the guest list and, you know, get your own plot to start growing food. So, yeah.
That's very important because one of the things that the Mr. 1000 Reps channel is based around, the first principle is nutrition. And we talk about not just feeding the body, but also feeding the mind. So I think that for most of my viewers, you know, I want them to learn little by little, you know, and I'm not, and I hope that, you know, this isn't in any way, shape, or form like disrespectful, but I'm not trying to lead anyone to one specific diet. What I want people to do is just to kind of gain information first. And that way we can then reach out to Yathrib Holistics or through Mr. 1000 Reps channel to kind of give you a little bit more insight into things. So we have a nice little spread here. We don't have any meats. So one of the things I want to talk about is for many Americans that are meat eaters, we're not necessarily, like I said, trying to immediately change your diet, but What are some of these products here that you think can replace or be a supplement for what the body needs in place of meats?
I would definitely say these seeds right here, these are chia seeds, walnuts, and hemp seeds. They're being soaked right now, which is always kind of best to soak them before you eat them. It's easier on the digestion. Nuts also carry phytic acid, which is hard to break down in the stomach sometimes, and it connects to different minerals throughout the body, which make it hard to absorb the nutrients that your body needs. So soaking them, it lowers that factor. But as far as protein, I'll also say these mushrooms, avocados, bananas, even these bell peppers. Like, protein is amino acid in the body, so it's naturally produced. I feel like when people want to eat meat, it's more so of a calorie thing, especially if you work out, like you burning a lot of calories. So that's the most densest thing that you can probably eat. But that doesn't necessarily mean that's the only thing that can, give you that muscle strength, whatever weight that you're trying to gain. So
Wonderful. Now, another thing is gut health, right? And one of the things I do when I'm asked about nutrition is first say, what is the information that your gut is telling you, right? So I always highly recommend blood work to know your levels, as well as maybe a stool check or some kind of, gut examination to see what parasites and other things may exist. So we just did a fast, and we called it the Fast for Unity. And in that fast, there was no food. We didn't intake any protein, no sugars, no carbs, no calories, so on and so forth. All we did was drink water and then maybe some coffee, some black coffee for some caffeine for energy. I wasn't doing a lot of it because I was on an empty stomach. But now that I'm coming out of the fast, what would you suggest, since for the most part my body has cleansed most of what was in it, what would you suggest I first ingest for a person like myself who's still doing 1,000 reps while I'm fasting? After, today, I'm going to get back to not only doing the 1,000 reps, but I might even add more reps to it because I have a goal. So what would be one of the things that you would say would be good to start eating after a fast?
I would definitely say start with some fresh juice, just packed with different fruits, bell peppers, you can add spinach, whatever you want, vegetables to, I would say a green juice is, coming off of a water fast, the juice is like the next level down that your stomach can handle. And then you can slowly start incorporating fruit. Then you can slowly start incorporating salad. It just kind of depends on, the rate that you want to get back into eating, a lot, and whatever your goals are. You don't necessarily have to eat dense foods all the time. If you look at a gorilla, they're one of the biggest, strongest animals, and they eat spinach all day. You just got to eat a lot of it. So definitely helps to know where to buy the food outside of the grocery stores. You can go to farmers markets and they sell it in bulk. So that way, it's really about training the mind to want it all the time because we're conditioned to just eat meat. It tastes good if you season it, and just we're just used to eating a lot. So
I agree to that. Now, what is this interesting thing that we have here? Because this is normally and particularly common. Maybe this might not be as common because most people just eat raw, nuts and grains and things of that nature. But what is this animal here?
Animal, this is a plant, look like a chia pet, but this is wheatgrass. You can get it in a powder version, but nothing beats the fresh version. You can add this to your juice. It's really good for circulating oxygen through your blood, alkalizing the blood. So, when we start to become too acidic, that's when parasites come, or pain, or just dis-ease in the body. But when you keep it at an alkaline state, your blood, your chi could all flow properly, and flow as one.
Well, that's a good point that you bring up about the breathing, because one of the conversations my man Bo, Jim Ali the Body, on Instagram, and I constantly talk about is like alpha breathing versus beta breathing. So like breathing in and out strictly through the nose to create, oxide in the body, as well as, breathing in through the nose and out through the mouth. And so in your experience as a trainer and also as an athlete, I wouldn't say what do you recommend as breathing, but is there a point where you would say one breathing technique is better over the other?
I've always been an athlete. Like I ran track when I was younger, and like I played basketball, so I always had to run, be in shape. But I don't know, I just usually deep breathe, like in through my nose, out through my mouth, which I mean, it worked for me. But if I could think one time, like I have a sickle cell trait, so this is what I was telling you about the 20 suicides we had to do on the last suicide. Like my legs just like gave out, but I had just made it. Like I just instantly like went to the ground. But now knowing what I know, when you breathe through your nose, out through your mouth, you're releasing your energy. So it's like to breathe through the nose, that's how you truly cultivate the prana chi that you get from the universe, I think breathing through the mouth is when you want to, release certain energies or, just come to a grounded state.
Yeah. I do that a lot when we're doing workouts. When I'm doing like push-ups and I get to the point where my body starts to, create a lot of lactic acid and starts to really get tight or you get that burning sensation, I breathe in through the nose and out through the mouth. So that way I can kind of release that tension and reset and keep going. So that's one of the techniques I use. But it's difficult when you don't, sit and try the techniques over time. Most of us try to learn that technique in the workout or in the mix. So, it's very important for you to just take your time. And as funny as it may sound, you can stand in front of a mirror, sit in front of a mirror and just practice it so that you can kind of get control of it. Now, we talked about the gut and the information that the gut gives the rest of the body. So we talked about, kind of replacing some of the meats with some of the foods that you see here. Moving on to the heart. What are some of the foods here that you would recommend that would be good for like the blood circulation and also for oxygen for the heart?
Okay, so I would definitely say the bell peppers, raspberries, anything red for real.
Strawberries?
The grapes, strawberries, tomatoes for sure, excellent for heart health. So you can just eat these raw. They have a lot of water content in them. Really, like when it comes to heart health, I feel like that's more tied to our emotions more than food. I mean, but it's all connected because our emotions are tied to our gut as well. And
correct.
So, what we put in our gut, it'll affect our feelings in our heart.
Well, that's good because my thing is that I always had a conversation with my boy Freeze, from Freeze TV, and we always talked about just like synapses. That's something I introduced to him because for me, what happens in your gut automatically affects the way your heart's circulating because, like you said, emotions can come into play, but also the quality of the blood that you have in your system. But without that synapses, those neurotransmitters, your brain really doesn't know how to interpret those sensations. So we get a feeling based on what we would get taught in school: your touch, your sight, your smell, your taste, your hearing. And a lot of times we don't get the basic information, which is what we're trying to do here. Just give you basic information that we can build on later. So with that said, we already talked about the emotions in the gut and the heart. But what about the brain?
Yeah, I'm glad you just mentioned that because I forgot the berries are right here, like the raspberries, blackberries, strawberries. So really, like the brain controls the functions of everything in the body. If something's off in your brain, it'll shut your heart down. So really starting there with the berries, they're high in antioxidants. That helps get rid of free radicals in your body. Free radicals are binders that, attract harmful, I would say energy, but whatever it is, in your body, however it manifests. But yeah, definitely eat a lot of berries. They're excellent for the brain. And staying hydrated is a big part too. You can get a lot of hydration from fruits, H3O2. It doesn't always have to be water. These are a lot better hydration than water, like cucumbers is one of the highest, like, on the charts of fruit with water content.
And I was just about to ask you about that, about the water aspect of it. So that's really, good to hear because I love cucumbers, and so, like I said, coming off the fast and being water only, one of the thoughts that I was having is, okay, how much more water am I going to have to drink? Because the water really, during my fast, wasn't making me feel energetic or even hydrated. Yeah. I was just concentrated in my mind about focusing on my feeling through my breathing. Yeah. Because all my other functions, were just everything in my brain. And I found that not all my thoughts were clear because, I was so focused on the breathing. But with that said, one thing that I really want to touch on too is one point that you make, energy. A lot of, people in general, based off our cultures and the way that we're taught, and not just in school, because I believe the first institution that we, that we are part of is our home. Right? And also our community. So with that said, what do you think is the overall importance of energy as also as food, not just to the body, but also to the mind?
Energy is important. Like, I feel like when it comes to these foods, they carry a vibration of, they're being in the ground, which carries power, when you're eating meat. And this is not to try to deteriorate anybody from eating meat or say you should eat this way. I personally just don't see the point of taking in like dead energy, dead flesh. So it's like you don't know what they carried in their blood, the energies, that's all transferred into meat.
Or how they even died, how they killed them.
Yeah, it's all in there. So that's what really turned me off from like wanting to eat it. Of course, sometimes it look good, smell good, but I'm just like okay on it. Like even with the plant-based, like the fake vegan meats, like I don't know. I just feel like they come with a lot of chemicals. Like you can make a lot of those things just with ingredients right here. You don't really need a lot. As long as you have like a food processor, blender, like you can make a lot of things happen. So,
well, that's important because we went shopping, and that's how we created this little bundle of joy that we have here. And you were very specific about going to the organic aisle. And now after our conversation, I presumably think, because you don't want to assume, but presumably I think that the reason you were saying that is because it's less pesticides or less additives to that food?
Yeah, they're just like trying to create a high production amount to like sell out to the world. And so they're pumping it with lots of different chemicals that make it grow faster. A lot of times if you compare like non-organic to organic produce, like the non-organic is way bigger and the organic is smaller because it's just like, when I was farming in Hawaii, like we was all organic. We were hand weeding the stuff. We weren't using sprays or just whatever the case. So like it's just a different appreciation for organic food, for real. So.
Well, that's interesting you say, because in our family, my brother-in-law and sister-in-law own the Coldwater Cafe in Avondale, Arizona. And in the back, they have their own greenhouse. Basically they grow their own herbs and they sell that too. And it's a great point that the amount that is grown organically versus the amount that is grown, non-organically to say, it does produce not only the numbers, but it does produce a certain different look. Because if we're always trained to overeat, just like there's malnutrition, there's overnutrition, right? So if we're always trained to overeat, then we're also going to be attracted by the size of that food, right? Oh, I can get more out of this bigger avocado than out of the smaller avocado, when in reality, if you would agree, you're getting less out of it because of all the additives and things of that nature.
Yeah.
So it's important for all of you out there to remember, we're just setting a natural conversation that we have every day. And it's not necessarily something that we want to change you for the worse. We want to incite change for the better, and it starts with wellness. Well, I mean, at this point in time, is there anything else you'd like to add?
You could also break your fast with some coconut water. That's what this is. This is one of the best ones to drink. The pink is just from the oxidation. Like if you was to coat up in an actual coconut and leave it open, it'll start turning pink. But it's nothing wrong with it. It's still full of life.
Well, this is the crazy thing. I'm Dominican, and since I was a baby, I've been eating coconuts, eating raw tomatoes, cucumbers, avocados in the Dominican Republic that is big, and mangoes. Those are like my favorites, right? I can stuff myself all day with, and pineapples. I can't forget pineapples. I love pineapples. But in you talking about all of this and me really as myself and my goals and what I want to achieve, changing a lot of my diet, I will be honest with you that she's been telling me this for a few months and I just wasn't listening. And so what I think is important for all of our viewers to know is that if there's somebody that motivates you, if there's somebody that you know, feel like, hey, this person is my kind of person, or they have my kind of attitude or the character that I can associate with, you know, it's important for you to make sure that those people have the right energy, that they have good energy, positive vibes, because the world is both positive and negative, right? And so really, you have to learn how to control those impulses and control that energy coming into your body. So with that said, I want to really say thank you for coming out and just sharing with us your information. I think it's very important, not just for the people out there, but also for, you know, the purpose of the Mr. 1000 Reps channel. It's important for us to know that even though the expectation is to eat as fresh as possible, in the world, in the society we live in today, there's a lot of filth, there's a lot of misinformation. And so trying to see through all of that and getting to a point that you can at least establish a more smart way of giving your body supplementation in place of constantly eating and chewing, you know, I think that's also important to know. And it's a great place to start. Also, to make sure that when you do eat food, chew it properly. Chew it, you know, regularly, but chew it down. Even I have been guilty of taking foods, and because I'm so hungry or I'm, you know, such in a rush to eat and fill my body, that I just garf it up. Even though I chew some of it, I don't garf it up. So do you have any advice on how well something should be chewed, even for our, you know, carnivores out there that are eating meats?
Yeah, this was brought to me by my Thai massage instructor, sensei in Thailand. And he was just like, we should be chewing our food 200 times before we swallow it. Like, not all foods might require it to be 200, but until it gets to like a liquid type state. Yeah. So that way it could just digest way easier. Like, you got a big chunk because you just, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's going to take weeks to break down.
Correct. Wow. I never thought about that.
Yeah, so I'm like, man, Well,
I'll tell you this much. I chew that much, I'm going to get very handsome, get the strong cheeks, you know what I mean? Get the eyes and take some of these wrinkles out. But whatever, that's for a different episode. So, I want to say thank you for coming out. And before we leave, if you don't mind taking a little time and talk about Yathrib Holistics and where you could be found. Obviously, we'll put it in our description and we'll put it on screen for you to see. But go ahead, you know, shameless promotion.
Yeah. You can find me pretty much everywhere under Yathrib Holistics LLC or Madinah Yathrib. I'm on Instagram, Facebook under Madinah Muhammad. You can find me on YouTube under Madinah Yathrib, TikTok. I have a website, yathribholistics.com. You can book Thai massage, health consultation, life consultation, different herbal products I ship worldwide to different countries. I do just different workshops and, you know, ceremonies for healing. So I also teach meditation. So just bringing this all together, that's the dedication to wanting to keep it going.
Wonderful. Well, there you have it. Mr. 1000 Reps, Madinah from Yathrib Holistics. Just make sure to like and comment. And if you have any questions, like I said in the details section, you know, we'll go ahead and have all of that links for you so you can communicate. It's like my sister. So just make sure that you know that if I'm putting you on to someone, it's because not only I'm willing to engage with that person for my wellness, but remember the whole portion and the whole premise of everything that we do is to bring wellness. But I thank you once again for coming out, being our first guest. I think it was great. And, you know, share, like I said, and comment and let everyone know about Mr. 1000 Reps and how we keep repping with our nutrition. Peace and blessings.
Peace.
Mr. 1000 Reps.